In my last video where I exposed everything that I know about the tool DeepSee.io that Mediavine is using to basically look for sites that have AI content, AI images, or basically any sites that don't meet the quote-unquote quality standards for Mediavine, I told you that I wanted to try to get access to the tool so we can, look behind the hood, see what's going on, so that we can make sure that we don't become collateral damage, right? Well, I actually got access to the tool. I'm going to give you a complete walkthrough, what the tool's looking for, like what people see when they're using it, as well as I've actually already uploaded a CSV file of all of the sites that have been admitted to Mediavine Journey, and we're going to look and we're going to see what sites on this list are tagged, maybe as made for advertising. Are those sites currently still monetized by Mediavine Journey? I think it's going to be really interesting to see, though I do want to warn you real quick that the platform seems kind of sluggish, so sometimes I've noticed it takes a little while for things to load. Are you ready? Let's jump right in. Okay, so this dashboard, you can see I have one list where I've uploaded the CSV file like I told you. In the sidebar over here, you can see some of the sites that I've already looked at on my own from this list. Real quick though, I do want to show you where I got this CSV file from, simply because another creator has made it basically super easy for people like me to download. So I want to, give them credit for that. It is actually Jonathan Ward's website. He has a Journey by Mediavine Explorer. He's also the guy who is behind the Content Goblin tool that you can use if you're doing a Pinterest site. Basically, you give up your email, here so that you can get on his list. You can see I think it's the last 7 days sites that were added, but you can actually also download a CSV of every site that's ever been, basically added to Mediavine's Journey program. One quick thing though is the sites in this CSV file are in order of when they were added to, Mediavine Journey. Some of these sites are no longer actually on Journey by Mediavine because of all, the purges that they've done. So that's kind of what we're going to see when we're looking through some of these sites. Okay, let's jump back to the dashboard. So I think the easiest way to show you how this particular tool works is let's first start with basically a super authority site. CNN is the site that I put in just because, it's a common site that we know basically has, high authority signals. We get an executive summary here. We see this for any domain that we put into this tool. A link to view the compliance report right here. Traffic ranking insights. So this number right here comes from that Tranco list, which I talked about briefly in my previous video. Rank stability. So what they're looking for here is, what does the rankings look like for this particular website in organic search? It does not specify which search engine, but I'm just going to assume that it's Google. And then this is current rank of the publisher's domain within whatever content category that it happens to be in. If you recall from my previous video, I had shown you the list of the content categories. Didn't really know what the purpose was of those categories. Clearly, this is where that comes into play. Then we scroll down here is the compliance report summary. This is just kind of an overview that you can look at to see, are there any risk factors with this particular website? Oddly enough, CNN has 2 things listed here for risk. So let's go ahead and click on View Compliance Report and we'll see what's going on with it. Okay, so looking at this report, we can see that a lot of this stuff is not going to be the kind of things that smaller publishers are going to be dealing with, like extremely large ads.txt file. Any of the things in this report, you can click on the little arrow, read a little more. For me, what I was most interested in seeing is this strong inbound link profile, because I'm like, okay, what does this tool consider as being a strong inbound link profile? Doesn't give us a number. That is unfortunate since the weak inbound link profile does give us a number. At least it did when we were looking through the documentation in the previous video. So if we click on user experience here, this is where I told you that they're showing the core web vitals information, which I think is kind of funny since it's not really important anymore, but here it is. The advertising tab is just kind of basically walking people through what kind of advertising is on this site, is it super aggressive, things like that. For me, as someone who builds sites, I don't really care about this particular tab. This is obviously more for people who are evaluating a site to see if they want to monetize it. Now the content tab, that is the one that I find the most interesting when we're looking at this. It gives all this stuff at the top, content category, primary language, the top keywords, so whatever's most used on the site. We have a sentiment indicator for the content on the site. We have an objective analysis indicator here, as well as polarity. I'm not sure where the average estimated reading time is coming from. I don't know if this is how long it takes their scanner to scan the site or anything like that, because it doesn't really tell us. But here is what you will probably be most interested in, AI content detection. It does mention this is in beta. So yes, they did detect AI images on CNN. The overall rate of them that were detected is low, and the rate of low quality or AI text is also low. We have the plugin and theme configuration. It's all unknown, so it's completely unique. They found 720 authors on the site. No pages were written by admin, but one author did contain the domain name, which means CNN was listed in one of the author names here, which is interesting. Then for network here, this is interesting because this is where we see the strong inbound link profile. Still no number. I really wish we could see a number here. Like I said, since we do have a concrete number for a weak profile, this lets you know if there's been incentivized or rewarded traffic, black market traffic, inbound traffic profile. We get to see that here. Outbound traffic profile. Related publishers is one that I am interested in. Basically, this is going to be the one where if you have, say, 5 sites all using the same AdSense pub ID or whatever it's called, they're going to be able to connect all your sites right here. That could be problematic if somebody, is just looking to basically destroy all of your sites. Here's the related identifiers that they find on the CNN site. I don't remember what outbound connection is. It may be outbound links. Yes. Inbound connections should be inbound links. When I was trying to use this, it worked once before, and then every other time I've tried it, it's kind of timed out no matter what domain I use. Yeah, it looks like it's going to time out again. But before, when I did actually get this to work, it did show inbound links. In my experience, though, this tool is not very good at pulling in inbound links. It's actually quite terrible at it. So that's some interesting information, mostly because it ranks, risk quality based on link profile. And since it can't pull in the links properly, that's problematic. And then the technologies tab here, basically, they've scanned your site. They're looking to see what is on here. I don't know why that's important to them, but that's what's in this tab. Now let's go back over here and look at the list that I have uploaded. Like I said, that came from Jonathan Ward's, website there, where I could easily download the CSV file of all the sites that have been admitted into Journey by Mediavine. So let me make this smaller here so you can see it better. So what we see is the domain name, the Tranco rank, primary content category, if the ads.txt file is verifiable, what's the risk, number here, is this a risky site or not? I'm honestly not sure what review status is for, because I don't think there's anything in this column for me. So when I uploaded this file myself, the first thing I saw was that this third website here is listed as potential high risk. So I was like, I want to know why. So we'll go ahead and click on this. It's going to load this same screen that's going to load for every single website. Stable rank, decent, overall rank. You're thinking, what's going on with this site? Here's our summary of the compliance report. We have several high-risk problems, so let's click on over and see what that is. So a brand suitability issue here is piracy. Weak inbound link profile, very few links from reputable sources. Now we know from my previous video and the other documentation that I discovered, I believe a weak inbound link profile was less than 10 links, even though it doesn't say it right here. Nothing else here I find of interest. The important thing is that piracy, so it's clearly hosting some type of intellectual property. I'm going to assume this is like comic books or manga or something like that. Let me go to the content tab, which again I think is one of the most interesting for small publishers. Scroll on down, no AI stuff. 5 plugins detected, extremely unique, but it's using an extremely common theme. And if we can recall from my previous video, having a very popular theme is one of those things that gets you considered a template site, which they consider template sites to be made for advertising, so we do not want to have a popular theme. Now we can actually visit this website to see like what theme is it using, right? Let's click on that. And then I'm just going to view the page source here. And let's just do a Control F for themes. So it's using the newspaper theme. This is a popular theme that I sold on, I believe, Theme Forest. I actually used this theme myself several years ago on a couple of websites. So I'm not surprised to see that listed here. So definitely do not pay for the newspaper theme on Theme Forest there, because it's clearly labeled as a popular theme by this particular tool. Okay, anything else of interest here? I don't think so, so let's go back to that list. See what else we can find, right? Oh, you know what? I should have left that open because I'm curious is the site currently on Mediavine Journey, right? Let's go back to it real quick and find out. I do have an ad blocker on. Looks like it has Google AdSense. Not sure what Pub Future ad is, but it does not look like any Mediavine ads are on here. So, interesting to see. Now we will go back to the list. So we have a job site here. Let's just click on it. Let's see, what is the risk factor for this particular site. Basically, I'm hoping as we go through some of these sites and we can see like what has been flagged here, it will basically help us get a better understanding of what are the behaviors that are most likely to get you caught up in this flagging if you're not doing anything wrong. We don't want to be collateral damage here. So what we have here is a templated site, and see that this is labeled high risk, right? It's not just risky, it's high risk. Template sites are characterized by generic content and non-unique design. They often appear like made for advertising sites, but they don't always have paid traffic sourcing. They are typically associated with SEO spam. So let's go to the content tab and see what's going on with this particular site. Again, this is like a very sluggish tool, right? I'm actually really surprised by this. Hopefully it opens here. Okay, I had to pause that because it took an incredibly long time for that to actually go through. Scroll on down here. Yes, artificial images, low rate, low risk of AI. For plugins, the configuration is extremely unique. I find this interesting that this says root domains with the same theme, extremely unique. We have low risk of AI images and AI text, and yet this site has been flagged for being a templated site. So let's look at it and see what's going on here. I mean, it doesn't look like the best site, but who am I to judge quality? Let's see what theme is this running here. So DI Business. I'm not familiar with that. And this one just says Business Blue is the theme. Let's just do a search here. WordPress Business Blue theme. DI Business. So it looks like it is a child theme of something. I'm not familiar with this. It says there's only 700 plus active installations, so I can't imagine that the theme itself is the issue here. So that's curious. Like I said, it doesn't really look like the best site. It does have admin as a username. It also has the domain name NGO job site as an actual user, so I don't even think that was flagged by the tool, was it? No, pages written by admin, 0%, authors containing domain name, 0%. As we're going to be going through this, you're going to see that this tool is not that great, right? Because it did not catch those. I was just on the page there for a few seconds and immediately noticed those two things, and they're not here. So that's super interesting. So there's nothing actually in what the tool has pulled that shows us why this particular site was flagged as a templated site, regardless, like I said, of what I personally feel about how it looks. So that is something that's super interesting, and that lack of transparency, I feel like, is kind of problematic, right? Anyways, let's go see another site here on the list. Oh, I did forget again to see if there are actually ads running on that site, so let's find out. Okay, I've got the site back up now. So we've got, it looks like Google Ads, and that's it. So it's no longer on Journey by Mediavine. So we'll go ahead and close that. Back to our list. Next on our list, lifehack.life. So we have a stable rankings, several risk factors. So let's view that compliance report. Here we go. We have flagged MFA subdomain, which is interesting. So the root domain is not flagged, but one or more related subdomains are. Quiz.lifehack.life is an example of a flagged subdomain. In cases like this, buyers should block the relevant Made for AdSense subdomain, and in order to ensure ad spend is not routed to Made for AdSense inventory, they should ensure that they receive subdomain level reporting from partners. So that's interesting. So I'm not seeing that yet. We've got the same weak inbound link profile. And we have an actual MFA, an actual made for advertising brand suitability problem here. So it says it is confirmed to source its traffic inorganically, has an excessive ad experience, manually verified to contain the most excessive clickbait. How exciting. I can't wait to see what this site actually looks like, right? Let's look at the content tab first, though. Okay, so this looks like a little bit of everything for categories. Spiritual connection, passive income, sleep hygiene, essential oils, a little bit of everything. Yes, AI images, medium rate of AI images detected, low risk AI text. Extremely common theme, no unique authors, no pages by admin, no authors containing the domain name. Let's have a look at this site and see what's going on here. First, let's check. I think this is the cadence theme. It looks very familiar to me. Here. Yep, there it is, cadence theme. So it's one of those ones that I mentioned in the previous video you probably do not want to be using because it is very popular. Let's see if it's actually running ads right now. Looks like just Google Ads, probably AdSense. Let's see here. What else were we looking for? So we have a user, like an author here, that has the domain name in it. So again, something that this tool is missing, authors containing the domain name. I feel like if I had had a site on Mediavine that got booted off and I was collateral damage, seeing how this tool actually works and how terrible it is would make me really angry because, you know, it is really terrible. I mean, just from what I'm doing right now as I'm recording this, I can see how terrible it is. Okay, let's go back to the list, see what else we can find. Okay, so this is one that I had looked at earlier. I find this one very interesting because note the domain name, right? It makes us think that this site's going to be all about visas, right? But we can see in the screenshot here, 10 plus medical conditions that can change your personality. That's not what we're going to get. This is clearly an age domain that's been bought and repurposed, right? We've got one risk factor here, brand suitability. Again, MFA. So that they think this one has confirmed to source its traffic inorganically and it has an excessive ad experience. I forgot on the last one to pull it up into SimilarWeb because when I saw this site before I started recording, I was like, how did they know? Like, this tool is so terrible on so many levels. How do they know that it's getting its traffic inorganically? So I actually put it into SimilarWeb so that I could find out. Then I was actually really shocked by the number of visits for the site in May. So let's go down here. So it says almost 80% of the traffic was direct, 15.56% organic, 1.75% referral, 2.82 social, 0.01 email. Direct traffic, I find that that's often where Pinterest traffic gets categorized, so I'd be curious to know if this is Pinterest traffic or not. They also could be basically buying traffic to send to the site. But like I said, we don't know. Close that. We'll go to the content tab to see if it gives us anything of interest here. Yes, AI images, low risk of AI or low quality text, as well as low risk of AI images detected. One plugin, they don't know what theme it's using. 50% of authors containing the domain name. Let's actually look at the site here. Let's see if we can find out what theme it is using. Oh, it may not be WordPress because nothing's coming up. So that's interesting. Doesn't say. We can actually pop this into built with and then get an idea of what's going on with this site. Okay, so we got it in built with here. See if it gives us any idea what's going on here. So it's a Mediavine publisher. It makes me wonder if it is actually still running ads. This looks like it's showing the WordPress logo, so I'm not sure what's going on with it. Maybe someone smarter than me will find out and can leave it in the comments for this video. So like I said, this looks to me, like I said, like this was probably picked up as an age domain, expired domain that had some good backlinks, so we repurposed it, made it, a little bit of everything here just to get ad money. We've got a Pinterest conversion tracker, so it doesn't look like it's actually running any ads at all, so it is no longer on Journey by Mediavine. Okay, let's see what else is on the list that might be of interest real quick. This Brandon's Restaurant was one that I found earlier as well, because after I'd seen the Visa Guide site, I thought, this is obviously an age domain that's been repurposed. I suspect Brandon's Restaurant, exact same thing, yet it wasn't flagged as that, which I found quite curious. Click on this compliance report here. Templated site, non-unique design, made for AdSense, blah, blah, blah. Let's go to the content tab here. So it looks like we've got a little bit of everything. Modern Japanese cuisine, domestic violence, acting career, real estate. Yes, AI images, but a low rate of low quality or AI text, AI images. Extremely common theme, extremely unique plugin configuration, 2 authors. Looks like they think they're all good. I actually have this site already open over here. So, whoever picked up this age domain really made it look like the original website. There's actually no evidence here if we look of, like, where are the blog posts? We know there's blog posts. Where are the blog posts? So usually when this happens, I just pull up the sitemap, right? We just do that by putting in sitemap.xml at the end. So we've got 4 post sitemaps here. Let's just click on one. Looks like they were using this as a net worth type of thing. How old is someone? Not the best niche to have done this stuff with. Let's see what this one is. Difference between a Spanish omelet and a Mexican omelet. So, if I had to guess based on the structure of these headings, this is AI content. I mean, this is likely pure AI content. And that is interesting to note since the tool said low risk of AI content, right? They are running Google ads, it looks like. Oh, they are actually still apparently running Mediavine ads. Let's pause on this site and see if those Mediavine ads are actually showing up. Or if that's something else. Oh wow, this site is actually still running Journey by Mediavine ads. I don't know how. I'm not sure what this is. Yeah, like this looks like your standard Mediavine type of ads here. I could be wrong, of course I could be wrong. But it does look like a Mediavine journey ads to me. So that's an interesting thing to note there. I don't think we looked to see what the theme was, so let's double check that. Flat sum? I don't think I'm familiar with that theme either. Let's see what comes up. So WooCommerce theme that you get from Theme Forest. I suspect this theme was used to try to like fool Google, and I think it was an e-commerce site since that's been working so well since HCU. You can see up here too how many sales there have been of this theme to kind of let you know how popular it actually is, as well as the number of reviews here. Over 8,000 it looks like, over 28,000 comments. So another theme that you want to avoid using for your site so that you do not, end up as collateral damage. We're trying to minimize your risks of ending up, being monetized on Mediavine and getting kicked out when maybe you don't deserve it, right? Because you're just collateral damage. We can look through and see if we see anything else of interest here. Mostly just because, we're seeing a lot of the same things, right? I'm not going to go through, over 4,000 domains here to look for things. One thing, though, I do know, there is a site that I have talked about in my email newsletter that was on Mediavine. It has since been kicked off. I think it has dog. It's not coming up, though. Maybe eat. It was something like, can dogs eat? Or something like that. I don't see it. Let me see if it's actually in the CSV file. Oh, I pulled this up before we started too, because I wanted to show you how the Brandon's Restaurant domain, which does appear to still be running, Journey by Mediavine ads, it was actually added almost a year ago to the platform. And it still seems to be running ads, so I find that interesting. Let's see. It was something like, can dogs eat? Or something like that. Let's see if I can find it real quick, because it was a site that was obviously AI. I was very surprised when it's this one right here. I was very surprised when this particular website showed up as a new addition to Journey by Mediavine, because it got admitted right after the first big purge, and it's so obviously AI. So I'm actually really curious what this tool says about it. So we're just going to pop it in the website thing up here. When I've used this, it's been incredibly slow, and half the time it doesn't actually want to go, so we'll see. Okay. So it says low risk profile. We've got 2 things for brand suitability, 1 for discoverability. Let's see what we have going on here. So it's listed as a template site, weak inbound, suspicious TLD. That's interesting. Hosted on a .online web domain, which we have found is statistically more likely to be a risk vector than other common web domains. So that's super interesting. So this tells me that you want to avoid any of the more unique TLDs when you're picking a domain for your website, since they're using that as a risk factor. Because that could just be one more thing, one more box that gets ticked that kind of makes you end up as collateral damage. So that's super interesting to find. So we've got a template site. What I'm most curious to see is what it says about the risk of AI content and AI images, because I've looked at this site in the past. Okay, so it does say high for AI images, medium risk for AI text. I think the risk is a little higher than medium. And I'm sorry if this is anybody's website out there. I know this site did get removed from Journey by Mediavine not too long after it got admitted. Good example of what not to do. It looks like it's running a different theme, so let's see what that is, since it said it was a common theme. GeneratePress. Oh, I didn't recognize it as GeneratePress. So yeah, another one of those that I've mentioned you probably want to avoid. Like I said, so it's running Google AdSense. It's all it's running right now because it did get removed from the platform. I think it only lasted a couple of months before it did get removed. So like I said, I don't want this video to go on forever. I'm sure we could uncover more interesting stuff. The main thing is I really wanted you to see like how this tool works, what people see when they put in your domain into this website. Into this tool. And like I said, to kind of help small publishers who may not be doing anything wrong avoid becoming collateral damage, from Mediavine and DeepSee, working together to try to basically make sure low quality sites don't get monetized when, you may not actually have a low quality site. You just may be doing things like not focusing on backlinks, not, venturing out to find unique themes. So you have a common WordPress theme on your website. Maybe you are using the same, popular types of plugins that everyone uses, things like that. So basically, I just want you to use, me walking you through this tool as a plan for the future, right? If you are making websites, say for Pinterest traffic, which a lot of people are doing these days, and you want to monetize with Journey by Mediavine, make sure you're not using a common theme. Make sure you're not using the common plugins. Make sure your authors don't have admin in them or the domain name in them, things like that. Know that it does try to detect AI images and AI text. Doesn't do the best job at it though. So something else for you to keep in mind. I know that there's a lot of people who are basically doing human edited AI content. I'm going to assume that the tool can't pick that up very well either. So just, proceed with caution because, you never know basically how much they're fine tuning these criteria behind the scenes here. And this is just another site I clicked on what looks like we're using Generate Press here. Another very common theme that we just saw. Just double check that. Yep, it is still there. And then we'll just look real quick and see if it's still, it's actually still monetized by Mediavine. That's very interesting. Let's double check that by turning off my ad blocker. Maybe. I'm curious if there's actually ads here. Yeah, looks like Mediavine again. I find that super interesting since it has a high risk profile. Medium risk of AI text, yes AI images, templated site, one unique author. Curious to see weak inbound link profile. So we have suspicious rate. What's this? Curious, related publishers. So nothing to see there. Let's go back and see what the templated site. So this site, this is so interesting. I'm actually really glad this was my last one I was going to show you. This site has a high risk for being a made for advertising templated site. Often have non-unique designs. So we've got terrible ads, clearly. Generic, install here of Generate Press. Nothing special going on at all. Very simple logo. Let's actually turn these ads back off. That's kind of terrible. And this, I'm so shocked that this site is still running these ads. I wonder how long it's actually been on Mediavine Journey. Let's find out. Do a search here. Oops. Also added to the platform almost a year ago. Isn't that interesting that the older sites still are kind of having a pass, right? So yeah, like I said, I hope that this gives you, a bit more transparency and clarity than we're getting, from Mediavine publicly. Just so that, like I said, you don't have to worry as much about being collateral damage because you can see what they're looking for, right? You can see, do I use GeneratePress? Do I use the same WordPress plugins as most people? Do I have the name of my site as one of the authors of the site? Things like that. These are all things that you can work on to kind of protect yourself. So I only have a limited trial of this tool, so unfortunately I will not be able to basically run anyone's website through it for them. But if you are concerned about your site, I urge you to see if you can also get a free trial of the tool. Then just run your site through it yourself, right? But if you have any questions that I might actually be able to answer, feel free to drop those in the comments below, and I will get back to you with an answer as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.